Hello, everyone. Welcome to my corner of the internet, Substantially. Substantially is a true crime podcast. I'll be your host, Letters from Amanda, and I'm so thankful to have you here with me today. Substantially is a play on words to highlight substance abuse use disorder and also mental health disorders. I feel like there's a lot of stigma that surrounds those things, and it needs change in a lot of ways, especially in the true crime community, where you'll see police officers sometimes be very dismissive in cases that involve things like substance abuse or mental health disorders, or even sometimes people of color, or if they have what others would consider like unusual sexual preferences or choices. You know, all of a sudden those cases aren't taken as seriously for whatever reason. There's a lot of stigma that surrounds those things, and our system is broken in a lot of ways, and there needs to be some changes made. And I know I can't change everything overnight. I certainly can't do it alone. I'm hoping that that's what this is a small ripple in a pond that eventually creates huge waves of change. That's my hope. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time, so I'm so glad to be here with you today. So, welcome. You are substantial. You are of substance. You are loved. You are wonderful. Don't you ever forget that. And I'm so grateful to have you here with me, and I hope you come back. I want to see you every time, every day, you know. I so look forward to this, and I'm just so grateful just to be here today. I'm very blessed. And so with that, I don't want to make it too long of an intro. I do want to warn you in advance, though, that this is substantially a corner of the internet that hopefully will be a true crime podcast with your host, me, Letters from Amanda, and that's because I am very old school. I do everything the old-fashioned way. I write things down on paper. You may even hear paper shuffling in the background from time to time. That's what that noise is. Don't be alarmed. I don't have a computer. I'm doing this from a headset and a cell phone and a little app called Dolby On. So I apologize if my sound quality isn't great. I hope to improve as time goes on and get better. I'm always open for suggestions. And the cases that I want to talk about will be cases that, for whatever reason, didn't get the attention that they deserved or aren't very well known. And I want to try to highlight those cases, especially where we see people of color, women of color, LGBTQ, so on, you know, whatever the letters are. I'm not trying to be dismissive. There's a lot there, and I embrace all of it. Come as you are, no judgment here. And so I want to talk about cases that involve those sorts of things, mental health disorders, substance abuse use disorder, anything where there's a stigma surrounding it, and cases that need more eyes on it and more ears listening and a brighter light shined on it. So that's actually the kind of case that I'm going to bring to you today. This case troubled me very deeply, and not because it made headlines, but because it barely did. And I found this case through the Charlie Project, so shout out to them. They seem to be a very great organization, and they have tons of cases on their website, and I'm so thankful to them. And I will definitely try to give credit where credit's due. So definitely shout out to them, because without them, I would not have heard of this case. So today's story involves a young mother who went missing with her little baby infant daughter. And when Keir went missing, her name is Keir Johnson, and she went missing again with her little baby infant daughter, Chloe. And when Keir and Chloe went missing, Keir was reported to be 4'11", 140 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. She was an African-American female who wore glasses, and she had her ears pierced. Little baby Chloe was 2 feet, 5 inches, 120 pounds. And just saying that breaks my heart because I can just picture this little tiny baby. It just really puts it into context for me in my mind. They disappeared together on April 30th, 2017 from Hampton, Virginia. And for nearly 8 years, no one knew what happened to them. And as a mother myself, I can't even begin to imagine the heartbreak, the confusion, the pain, and the overall just not knowing. Waiting for them to walk through the door at any moment for 8 years, and it never happened. And being in limbo the whole time, wondering, what happened to them, or waiting for them to walk through that door at any moment. It's just like in my mind, a fate worse than death. It's like agony to me. So I can't even begin to imagine. I'm sorry. So anyway, to leave your home one day with your baby, just an ordinary day, and just to vanish completely, it's literally everyone's worst nightmare. So Keir was described as a loving, responsible, devoted mother. She was devoted to her daughter and hardworking. She worked for the Smithfield packing plant, and she worked sometimes for as many as 6 days a week. And you can best believe it's because she had to. Because the father of that baby, Carlos Johnson Jr., and by the way, let me just insert here real quick that they share a last name, but only by chance. They were not married. Well, when Keir told him that she was pregnant, he wanted her to terminate the pregnancy, to get an abortion, and he denied being the father. And he also refused to pay child support. But we'll get to him soon enough. So let's get back to that day, back in 2017, where Keir had taken a week off of work for what most would call like a little mini staycation, And she called her mother that morning and asked her mother what she had eaten for breakfast. And shortly after that, she made plans with friends to visit Buckler Beach, which is only like a few miles down the road from her. And it was supposed to be a pretty nice day from what I could tell in my research, upwards of 86 degrees. But she and Chloe would never arrive. Family and friends tried calling and texting Keir, but all to no avail. Her black 2013 Kia Optima was gone too. And just like that, they both vanished. For years, her family begged for answers. They put up flyers, they held vigils, and they reached out to the media. But this case never seemed to get the attention it deserved. And shout out to WTKR News for trying to keep this case alive every couple of years, reporting on it. And also, from my understanding, interviewing the mother and Keir's sister, her twin, Keir. Keir was from a close-knit family, and she was the youngest of 4 siblings. And I thought it was cool that she had a twin. And as a matter of fact, her and her twin were very close. They spoke almost every day. As a matter of fact, it was weird for Keir to not hear from her sister and for her to not answer the phone. As a matter of fact, friends also said that Keir was the kind of person that always put others first. So this just was not like her. So, and I think for me at least as a mother, I just can't understand how their case never really got the attention it deserved. I know I keep saying that over and over again, but please help me understand how a mother and her infant child go missing and it barely makes a ripple outside of their community. Call me crazy, but when I imagine somebody I love going missing, and especially with their infant child, I think that I'm going to be shouting from rooftops and mountains and in this country and the country next to us and so on to anybody that'll listen that my loved ones are gone and everybody needs to help me find them, So it's very difficult for me to understand why there wasn't a lot of attention or reporting on this case. And honestly, they go missing. And then that's kind of it. Like, you don't hear anything for 8 years. And then, out of nowhere, in February of 2025, Valentine's Day to be exact, there's an arrest made. in the case. And who do we all think it is? The person that's closest to you, like always, right? The father of little baby Chloe, Carlos Johnson Jr. And he was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. And it's so messed up because Carlos was someone that Keir would have trusted, like, despite the fact that he denied being the father or refused to pay child support, and that's what makes this case so painful to talk about. Keir didn't go missing because she made a wrong turn somewhere or trusted a stranger. She disappeared because someone she knew, someone she believed was safe, betrayed her. And as mothers and as women, we always speak of intuition, that little voice in the back of your mind, that feeling in your gut, warning us when something doesn't feel right. But when it's someone we know, someone who is a part of our life, we silence that voice because we think, no, it couldn't be. And for Keir, that trust was her undoing. And from where I'm sitting, that feels so fucking wrong. So, for 8 years, nothing. 8 years pass. 8 years of not knowing. 8 years of birthdays missed. And 8 years of a mother's love suspended in time. And then we find ourselves now back in February 2025 when Carlos Johnson Jr. is arrested and police did a search of the property. And not only did police find blood in the subfloor of his living room, reportedly, but police also found searches on his devices, searches like accidental baby death, allegedly, of course, and searches that contained information about deadly poisons, including the phrase, how much rat poison to kill a human. And those searches were done, allegedly, of course, on January 18th, 2017, which was months before these 2 went missing. So that's weird. Then on January 23rd, Carlos also allegedly searched for forced fatherhood, topics like that, and also how to avoid child support. And he also searched for more things like street camera information, which is really freaking weird. And also he conducted more searches that had to do with like poisons, like liquid poison and things of that sort. So, and I just shudder to think of what happened to these 2 with search history like that and blood being in the subfloor of his living room, reportedly. It terrifies me to think of what happened to those 2. It really does. So now, here we are. Keir and that's right. I'm sorry. So yeah, here we are. We're at this point where we find those searches and police are talking about what they found. And this is all written in an affidavit. So the family told investigators that Keir and Carlos had frequent arguments about child support. And they weren't the only people that were reporting those kind of details to the police. As a matter of fact, there were people that they worked with, several people that they worked with, where they had reported that they would see Keir and Carlos arguing frequently at work, where they both worked at the Smithfield packing plant, because yes, they worked there together. So there was frequent arguments between them. We also have documents that reveal what investigators believe happened that day back on April 30th of 2017. That includes records pinpointing Keir and Carlos's phone locations and his alleged movements on that day. The affidavit also includes an interview with a witness who claims that on that evening, Carlos instructed him to drive to a marshy area and to wipe down the car before abandoning it. And abandon it they did, because that car was found abandoned at a trailer park on Jefferson Ave and Arch Street in Newport News, Virginia. And the police did a little search at that time of the trailer park and behind the trailer park with dogs, and nothing of note was found that we are aware of, at least. And according to Wavy.com, the next thing we kind of know is that on June 26th of 2025, Carlos Johnson Jr.'s bond was denied. And then we jump ahead a little bit more to August 21st, where there's supposed to be a 2-day preliminary hearing where a number of witnesses are called to the stand during that hearing, including family members of the alleged victims, to former co-workers and acquaintances, and friends of the defendant. One witness, a former co-worker and friend, recalled a time when Johnson Jr. said that he had given someone money for an abortion, but that they had kept the money and the baby. Johnson Jr. then asked him to kill a baby and a girl, and when the person refused, Carlos said he'd get somebody else to do it. So, and then next thing we know, the final witnesses called to the stand were forensic specialists, officers and detectives who outlined evidence collected through various search warrants, as well as phone and text records between the alleged victim and defendant and various witnesses. A judge did find sufficient probable cause, and the charges were certified to the grand jury in early September of 2025. Carlos Johnson Jr. is 46 years old from Newport News, Virginia. His arrest marks the first time that anyone was charged in this case. And of course, an arrest isn't a conviction. The trial process will now begin to unfold, and the job for prosecutors begins, gathering evidence, establishing cause, and seeking accountability. A lot of questions still remain, though. What happened to Keir and Chloe? Where are Keir and Chloe's remains? What evidence led to an arrest? What exactly happened that day? And for the family, the emotional journey continues. Their fight for closure isn't over. And there are some things about this story that really sticks with me, because it reminds us that not every missing person case gets the national coverage and attention it deserves. For some families, they suffer in silence, searching for justice as the world moves on around them. And that's why I wanted to talk to you guys today about Keir and Chloe and share their story with all of you, to make sure that their story isn't forgotten. They were real, they mattered, and their lives were both taken far too soon. They deserve to be remembered. And to Keir's family, to everyone who fought to keep her and Chloe's names alive all these years, I see you. And I hope that this small corner of the internet helps remind people and them and everyone that every missing person is more than just a headline. They were loved, they had stories, and they deserve justice. If you have any information about Keir and Chloe, there is a tip line and a $35,000 reward for any information leading to the recovery of Keir and Chloe. The number for the tip line is 757-354-7566, or you can email at Find Keir and Chloe, so it's FIND, D as in dog, KEIRANDCHLOE at NNV as in Victor A.gov. And that is the end of today's case. Thank you all for being here with me. Thank you for, persevering with me and pushing through the not so great audio. Just know that I have to do this all in one take. There's no editor AI. It's all just me and only me. I hope that's okay with you guys. And I'm just so grateful to have everybody here with me today listening. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you again very soon. Bye.